Today's video is all about giving things to you straight. Race drivers, this is Enzo with the Race Driver Coach Show from the car again, because I'm just doing a house call with the driver. So if I don't record it now, I'm not going to get it out, and I can't miss my Monday show. I've dedicated myself this year to getting one out every Monday. So yeah, you have to do what you got to do. You got to record what you got to record. But the message that I'm sharing with you is still powerful, no less important than the things I speak about normally. And this one is all about self-awareness. Let me give you a story. You got little Johnny, right, who's going for Formula One. He's been racing in cars for like 5 years. He's barely in the top 5 ever, usually just about in the top 10. Hasn't got a lot of money, hasn't got massive respect in the industry. You know, people don't look at him and say, wow, you're definitely going all the way. Yet he's still dreaming of Formula One. And you look at this driver and you think to yourself, how long are you going to carry on before you realize that it's not going to happen? Much longer are you going to carry on pouring money into this until you understand that you either need to improve massively and give yourself like a time limit on it. Say by the end of this year, I need a certain, results, should we say. I need to be at a certain level, or you change your career path. And you go a different route, GTs, LMP, whatever. You go a different route to make sure that you do actually get a career in this. It might not be Formula One. It's not going to be Formula One, Johnny. But you got to understand what you can do and position yourself that way so you can get paid out of the sport that you love. This is very common. This is a stupidly common situation where, and I think it's in most sports, right, where you know that, say if you've got a grid of 30 drivers, you know that 2, maybe 3 on that grid have got what it takes, have got things in place, like the cash, have got the respect, have got the connections to get to Formula One. The other 27 haven't got a chance. They might, the next 10 to 15 might make a career in motorsport, then the rest, they're going to just have a normal job in the end. Usually how it goes, right? Some years you'll have nobody on a grid of 30 that's good enough to Formula One, where others you might have 5. So let's just say there's 3. And nobody, hardly anybody in the industry is going to tell these drivers that are P3 backwards that then they haven't got what it takes to get to Formula One, or it's just not going to happen. One, because they fear they might be wrong, but also they might get sacked. So your driver coach, your manager, your race team especially, they're not going to say, sorry, you haven't got what it takes, unless they just do not care about you leaving them. Which, there are people out there, they'll give it to you straight and it's so refreshing, but where everybody depends in this sport, they depend on the money that the drivers bring, they're not going to really tell you the truth. They've got skin in the game. They're not going to be motivated to tell you the truth. So if they know you haven't got what it takes, they're not going to tell you. Where's it going to come from? Who's the one person or people that can tell you the truth? I think you know what I'm going to say, because it's all about self-awareness. It's you. You're the only person really that can find out where your true level is, and if your true level is good enough to go all the way to Formula One, if that's your goal, by the way. But it's the same with everything. If you have a goal, you got to make sure the person that's going for it actually has the skills, the DNA to do it. So if you want to be anything in life, you got to make sure you're made of the metal that can actually do it, and not be self-deluded, just thinking that one day you're going to get this thing, or blaming the team and the car all the time, when really it's down to you and your driving why you're not winning. So if you are struggling to be in the top 10 consistently over a certain amount of years, which, can't tell you how many years that will be, because it depends what you're shooting for, then you got to have the word with yourself. You've got to hold the mirror up to yourself and be honest, and get an assessment from somebody who's going to tell you the truth when you say, and you ask them, where am I at? They'll say, okay, let's test you. Let's put somebody in the car with you. So they'll go in the car, they'll do a benchmark. This is a good driver. You'll go out and you'll see if you can beat their time. That's one way of doing it. But you need some way of finding out the truth. And this isn't just to know if you're going to make it all the way. This is just to expose your strengths and weaknesses to make sure that you develop as a driver anyway. So you should be doing this anyway, and not be hiding behind the performance of the car or all the other things you can blame as a race driver. So what I really want you to do over the next week or so, or this season, is to make sure that the people that are with you are giving it to you straight. And also that you know where you're at. You know what you're strong at. You know what are the things that are going to help you advance in the sport, but you also know of your shortcomings, the reasons why you're not getting the results you want to get, and you attend to them, and you put a plan in place, a performance plan, a training plan in place that will help you improve. You've got to be very strict on this. It's too easy to just believe your own hype, ignore that you haven't really got what it takes at the moment, and just to carry on pumping money into the sport. Because remember, no one's going to tell you otherwise. So I want you to become very aware on what your level is. And then once you are aware, if it aligns with the goal that you've got. Because if it doesn't, if again you're in club racing for the 6th year, you're like 25 years old and you're shooting for Formula One, I'm afraid it's not going to happen. Unless something drastically changes, but really it's not going to happen. So you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to go to GTs, or I'm going to do something else where I can make a living in this sport. Perfectly fine. At least you'll be racing. Believe me, giving up on the actual F1 dream is painful for a while, like a short while, but once you get your teeth sunk into a new goal, and it could be GTs, it could be touring cars, it could be endurance, whatever, you get your teeth sunk into that, it becomes your new all and everything. I don't care about anything else, I want this. And if not, if you've lost the love for the sport, you get out. Either way, just being honest and facing things is so much more productive and refreshing. I wish more drivers would do it. Okay, the grids would be a little quieter because a lot of people will say I'm not good enough for F4 or F3 or F2. But at least you're honest with yourself. And that's all I ask for yourself, for you, okay? Be honest, be self-aware. And this works the other way as well. If you don't really know where you're at, but you're actually better than your results are showing, you're actually better than you think, you're going to start to have self-belief problems. If you think, oh, I can't really do that, I don't think I'm good enough, I could never step up into that car and do it, then it's the opposite effect, which is just as detrimental to your career. So you might have that kind of delusion. But if you're not really, that's because you're not self-aware of your current level, your true level. All I want this video to do is to remind you to understand where you're at. Hold the mirror up, get somebody to really give you an assessment, and then you can review your options of what's the best course of action from then on. You either get better, but if it's not in your DNA and you just can't get better, you need to know where to go next, career-wise. So be honest. Don't be scared of the truth, because once you know where you're at, you can position yourself correctly and you can go for it, whatever that it is.